Check it out. Welcome to the conversation. Bridge the gap. This is Tyquan, International Vice President, MZK Worldwide. I got my man, Tony YNot, Senior Vice President of the Rock Steady Crew. Yo, we got Zulu Kings and Rock Steady Crew up in this joint, and we about to build. And that's the thing. Like we gotta lead by example for the new generation. You know what I mean? And this is why I call it Bridge the Gap. I'm sure, I don't know if you've seen the other conversation, but, bridging the gap, there's many meanings, but one of my purposes is to have a platform so we can build and so new generation can learn, our current generation can learn, our OGs can, listen up to what we're about, and maybe in the conversation be like, wow, YNot and Tyquan got a point. You know what I'm saying? Like there's something. A lot of time we build, but it's off the record. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I feel like we need to take it to the internet and use it for, purpose like this, right? And so new generation can learn from how we build, right? From a YNot perspective. You know what I mean? Because a lot of time we don't really build like that when we go to jams and stuff, because everybody's busy, right? Just like freestyle session, you was probably judging the whole time. We really don't have the time to really like sit down and really build like the game and give inputs on how either we can move forward or what we dislike and maybe provide some inputs, and just bridge the gap, bro. You know what I'm saying? Build bridges, bro, instead of destroying. We can, have rivals and stuff like that. We can have little rivalry, what have you, but at the end of the day, it's just dance. You know what I mean?
Right.
You and I, we able to learn from a lot of OG, like first generation. You know what I'm saying? Not just second generation, third generation, but first generation. And that's a lot of time our OGs don't go to these events. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They don't be out on the internet on these platforms. And so that's the thing why I feel like, get somebody like you to get on to share your perspective and your journey. And yeah, bro, and just build, you know what I mean? Because a lot of our new generation, they don't get the gems that we get because they don't have that connection to the first generation. You know what I'm saying?
They don't have access.
So for us, we gotta be that bridge, right?
Yeah.
For the old and the new, and hopefully we all can come together. You know what I mean? And yeah, bro. So I wanna invite you on, maybe share what YNot is about. If you can summarize up what you've been up to, your history, what have you, and then what you've been up to, what's YNot been up to. So go ahead, bro.
Okay, man. Hey, first of all, thank you for having me. So I appreciate it.
No doubt.
And I 100% support what you got going on because I totally agree with that whole intro that you talked about. Us having more conversations, and especially in conversations in public, because all that information and all that real life experience doesn't always get shared in the event, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just any time in general for any type of conversation at this point, the way things are organized, it's crazy. It's a lot of b-boys in these events now. There's not much time, and some of us are getting older. We have other responsibilities. We don't really have time to hang out as much as we used to. And I felt that at this past freestyle session, there was a lot of people that I haven't seen in a long time. And it was like one of these hey, and then that was it. It was too short. It was too short for me to even connect with anyone. So it was a little weird, but okay. All right, where do we start? Where did I start? So
how do you get into the game? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I started. I was born in New Jersey. I was born in Passaic, New Jersey, and hip hop itself was kind of just it was always around. I just don't think I was like fully aware that it was a thing probably until the age of 14 or something like that, right? You know, I wasn't introduced to hip hop exactly through my home life. You know, my mom was into disco. She played a lot of rock records, disco, some funk, a lot of Prince, a lot of Michael Jackson. So later on, when I got into hip hop, I started realizing how important that music was, you know, to the culture itself. But so I'm happy that I kind of like got that as like this kind of like requisite to learning what hip hop was, right? But I started seeing, obviously writing, graffiti was everywhere. In most places, if you lived in like North Jersey, I mean all through Jersey, I'd say New York, Philadelphia, like these areas. And I specifically say those three areas because I had history in all of those. Even though I was born in New Jersey, you know, I had family in New York, I had family in Philadelphia, so I was constantly kind of back and forth with those places. So I was exposed to like things that I wasn't really knowing what was until later on. But anyway, I got into dance just from kind of like everybody else, seeing it around either from other people in my high school or on television. I first saw like Breakin done when we went to see the lighting of the Christmas tree, and if I'm not forgotten, it was like the Breeze team that was breaking and doing live performances outside. So I think my first image of breaking came from that, right? From watching street performance, from watching hitters. Then I just started asking questions because I wanted to get into it. I didn't know what I was getting into. But luckily I was in an area where people knew what's up, and they just kept saying, you got to go to the Bronx, you got to go to the Bronx. That's all I heard, right?
Right.
So like prior to that, I'm not really sure where to find certain things. We didn't have Google and none of that, right? So it's like,
Right.
everything was word of mouth. Everything was, you either found things through the phone book or things like that, right? You had to have phone numbers. You had to have some access or connection to something without just looking it up. It was impossible, right? So I eventually did meet some other people, and some of the older like members of a crew that I eventually got down with called Rock with Finesse. And they're like, you know, they were all older than me. I was actually the youngest in the group at the time when I got down with them. But they were telling me also, go to the Bronx. And they were like, yo, we could take you if you want to go. There's like a jam every once in a while. And they were talking about break beats, which was happening at the Hunts Point Community Center in the Bronx. So I went, you know. I went with a kid named Donald Mike, right? So Donald Mike was down with Rock with Finesse. He lives in Texas now, I think. I don't know. Everyone like had a family.
I know, right?
When it was like split and did their thing, whatever. But yeah, he took me for my first like jam, you know, and from then on, I tried to stay involved. So the next time that I went to the Bronx, I went without him. I kind of went by myself, and I was a little bit crazy. I mean, I'm what, 16, you know, jumping on the train, going to New York. My mom never ever wanted me to go to the city on my own.
Right.
You know, she's from Brooklyn. My dad's from the Bronx. They moved to Jersey to kind of just be out of the city, you know. So she was always telling me to stay away from there or whatever. But yeah, I'm a curious kid. You know, I was getting involved with this thing. I wanted to find out what was going on. Sure enough, I go there, and yeah, you know, I start getting involved with the events that's happening there, break beats. I meet Crazy Legs, who eventually was like, yo, like, what are you doing here? Like, when I first started talking to him, he was like, are you here by yourself? Like, that's the first thing he told me. And I was like, I am. Yeah, I'm here by myself. He's like, well, what's wrong with you, kid? Like, you need some help and shit. He's like, yo, you're in Hunts Point right now. Do you understand where you're at? I'm like, yeah, I know where I'm at. He's like, yeah, you don't know where you're at. You know,
you in the BX, boy. That's what he was saying.
Yeah, it was funny, man. It was funny. He was looking out. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
But anyway, yeah, as you show up, you know, you start becoming a part of this community, and you have to constantly show up. You have to constantly prove yourself. in order to be down. Otherwise, you know, you're just a spectator. So I was realizing that the more I kept being tested by people, also just like I see that there's some sort of like artistry, practice, determination to do this kind of shit. It's not easy, right?
Yeah.
And I loved it. I had a passion for it. I thought it was dope. You know, I got into dance probably from watching my mom. She was very unique in her approach to dance and music. You know, being a white woman, which was interesting. And I think when I started dancing, I carried that same type of feelings for other people. They were looking at me like, we don't understand. You know, you have a cool reaction to music. That's dope. But I was an outcast just by how I looked from the beginning, you know. So, yeah, I kept going. I kept learning. I frequently then went to New York, started battling, got into all types of stuff. Moved to Philly when I turned 19, and then I was there. I was from there on out, you know, pretty much until 2007 or 8 in Philly. And then I've been bouncing all around, man, since then. You know, once I started getting hip to the actual b-boy scene, and there was like, you know, things like battles started popping up where people were traveling because they were getting invited, and people were getting, you know, judge positions and stuff like this. Like, I was like, whoa, this is crazy. And I remember actually hanging out with my boy Brooklyn Terry. He's known as a house dancer. Brooklyn Terry, he was living in Philly at the time. And he was like, Tony, you gotta be out here. You gotta get some of this stuff, man. Like, you know, people are traveling. People are like teaching classes worldwide. You gotta get involved. And that was in 2005. I was like, all right, well, I guess I gotta get out there and battle more, you know. I wasn't really into that whole thing, man. I honestly was a little bit nerve-wracking, you know. One of my first big battles was Rocksteady Anniversary. This was like 98, I think it was. Or 97, maybe 98 is when Gerald won from Rockford.
Okay, Rockford. Okay.
Yeah. And it, you know, I loved battling. It just, I wasn't like used to it in that sort of atmosphere because it was, I remember when they called our name up and the circle was huge. This was like the Rocksteady one-on-one international battle. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Space. And I used to dance in this very tiny place in my basement. So I'm standing there in front of all these people, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with all this space.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It was kind of crazy. So I was nervous from the gate in terms of those types of things. So competition, after that experience, I wasn't really into it. And it's crazy because I made it to the final. It was me, Legacy, and Gerald in the finals that year. But I just wasn't like... It wasn't the experience that I was looking for with this stuff. You know, I very much enjoyed ciphering with people. I enjoyed if there was some type of level of battle or competition in that atmosphere. I dug that, you know. Something about too many lights and all these things, it wasn't my kind of thing, you know. Which is weird because then eventually I started to get into it and used to it, and then... Now I'm doing like big stage battles and all this.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. I think I'm rambling now, but that's the gist of like kind of how I got into things from the beginning. So.
Yeah, that's dope, bro. And when you officially got into Rocksteady, if you know.
That wasn't until 2005. Yeah, so I was hanging with everyone. You know, Legs actually became a mentor to me. By the time I was like 17, he would pick me up. You know, we'd go to the city. I'd go to like different practice spots where I met other Rocksteady members. He'd take me to the club that I was supposed to be into. You know, I remember we went to New York Poets Cafe. I mean, he just exposed me to the whole scene in New York. And just to many things. You know, we'd sit in his car, listen to music. I mean, all types of stuff. And I told him that I was interested in like other things because I was into art and music real heavy. And then I told him I was going to move. I'm thinking about moving. I want to go to college, right? So he encouraged me to do that. He actually was like, you know, I would be selfish to say, I want you to stay in this area and I want you to, you know, break with us and shit. But he was like, honestly, if you got other dreams, go do those things, right? Mm-hmm. So I did. I ended up doing that. Went to Philly, you know, which was a different change in my life. When I got into college, things changed for me or whatever. I actually stopped breaking for a little bit, which is also the reason why when I came back and started battling, it was like a resurgence for me because I wasn't doing it for a while.
Right.
So, yeah. So that's kind of like how that happened, and then Legs came to Philly again for the Philadelphia Legends Festival that Rennie Harris used to put on. And that was like 03, then 04, and then 05 he saw me again. And then, you know, we ended up kind of battling, which, you know, led to us talking again. And then he was like, all right, if you want to be down, I'm ready to put you down in the crew, you know. Word. And it was funny because a lot of the members that were down then at that point were like, who the hell is this kid, you know? And Legs was just like, look, trust me, you know what I'm saying? Right. The only other person that could have co-signed for me besides Legs would have been Smirk. But Smirk was, I believe, just getting out of the Army at that time.
Yeah.
So then when he got out, then he was around the rest of the crew, and then people were like, oh, shit, Smirk, you know, and it became like, it was interesting to have him back because I also didn't see him for years, man, you know, so it was crazy. Right.
Yeah, shout out to Smirk, man, you know.
Yeah, for
really
sure.
Rock, you know what I'm saying, Smirk.
That's the dude.
Rocksteady crew member, you know what I mean? Like he was holding it down for Rocksteady in mid 2000, straight up, you know,
Absolutely.
like heavy.
Yeah.
Heavy jam, you know what I'm saying? But what I love about you, YNot, is your artistic approach to the dance, right? Your creativity, and even building your own lane and basically market your brand in that aspect, right? That's the thing that I really want to talk to you because nowadays, you know, new generation coming to the game thinking that's the only lane you have is just to win all the big competition and that's it, right? And so that's why I want you to be on here to kind of, you know, give inputs into, you know, the artistic value and building, you know, that B-boy so-called brand, you know, of yourself and how you can create your own lane as well with it, you know, because there's many lanes and I think a lot of new generation, they just know what's in front of them, right? And so it will be good for you to give some inputs on an artistic value aspect to the game, you know, and in that lane. So
go ahead, for sure. I think, you know, off the bat, you know, because of my experience meeting people like Legs, Popmaster Fable, Mr. Wiggles, Frosty Freeze, Kel First, Mayor 139, like I met them in my mid-teens. And the thing, what I realized, because also my father wasn't present in my life for most of my life, right? So at that time, I really looked to other guys to find myself in them. Or what I started to do was sample from the way I saw like this guy hold a cigarette, or the way I saw this guy talk to his girl, or whatever. And if I liked it, I was like, "Oh, that's cool," you know. I appreciate that.
Like influences.
To build myself. Yeah, exactly. So I started to build myself as a man. But what's interesting is that when I met these guys, what I realized about them is, for one, they were really cultured. You know? They were well traveled already. They knew a lot about the world. They knew a lot about art and music. They did it, you know. So it was like, damn, I found those things to be real interesting, and they really rubbed off on me because I was also interested in those things. I just didn't know if that was okay. Because most of the guys in my neighborhood were not into that kind of shit, you know.
Right. So
I was like, oh, okay, well, but here's these dudes. They're also like respected guys, but they're artists, you know. So I was like, perfect. I need to hang out with these dudes, you know. now speaking about hip hop is like, when you talk about branding, it's such a brand conscious movement already.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, off the bat, yo, what's up? What's your name? Why not? Boom.
Mm-hmm.
You're already like telling people who you are, you know, what you have to offer, sort of thing. If you write, your signature is your logo. You're putting that shit everywhere. Like it's so brand
oriented, right?
oriented already, right? Exactly. So we have all this knowledge just based off of the way we traditionally handle things within the culture, right? So that stuff to me is so interesting because, you know, that became my job also outside of dance. You know, I went to school for computer science. I started to learn how to work with computers. I was doing, you know, all designs on Photoshop, Illustrators. Eventually got into like things like CAD and designing like, you know, industrial design, architecture, things like that. But, you know, that all that information I was getting in the street and doing this type of thing was bleeding into my professional career eventually as I was getting older, you know?
Right.
It's all the same in a way. And I was taking the same type of ideals and putting them into what I do now.
Right.
And, you know, after a while, I started to realize that, for one, when I started, like, you know, coming out into the world as a B-boy, my flyers were the shit. My videos were the shit. You know, my gear was fresh. You know, it's like all these types of things. And all I was doing was expressing myself. But what I didn't realize is that a lot of people in the community weren't approaching it from that kind of level of understanding in terms of social media, in terms of how to market yourself, and et cetera, right?
Right.
So, like, we had that knowledge, but then all we needed was technology. We needed other knowledge to add to the knowledge we're already building just on a, you know, natural level or whatever, on an organic level. So, and the more I'm getting older, I'm noticing that, and these are things that I want to be able to share with the community. For one, I started like trying to do things for people. Like, I used to hit up people like, yo, if you need a flyer, hit me. You want me to help you with your video, hit me up. Yo, you need a music edit for your show, I got you. You know, blah, blah, blah. And now it's becoming a thing where I want to show people how to do this themselves, because I think it's important for them. And now, because of technology, we have access to almost everything we need in order to create these things for ourselves. So my goal at this point now, so what I'm doing now is thinking about either working with universities and a community perspective of building my own institution and bringing people in and kind of teaching them how to do certain things, right? So that's just where I'm going in this moment.
Word. That's dope, bro. to have that high of a goal, you know. And bro, I'm here supporting you, man. I'm sure everybody who's watching this would want to see YNot to build that institution. You know what I mean? Yeah, and that's the thing that a lot of B-boys and B-girls need to understand is you're gonna reach a high peak, right? The ones that's winnings and all that, you're gonna hit a high peak, and then you gotta know how to stay consistent, right? Because you're gonna kind of like go down on the competition level, though, right? I'm talking about competition level. You're gonna pay your dues. You're gonna win this and that. We all won big championship, what have you. We've been on top, right? But then there's gonna be a low level and drop, meaning the competition. While we're gonna stop, entering events, what have you, and push the new generation up, right? Build a new generation, develop them, and it's their time to shine, right? But I think once you stop, you got to know how to market yourself and brand yourself and add value to yourself, And so that's the key thing that I seen, top B-boys who win it all. And then, I would say they get no love nowadays. So they become very, you know what I'm saying? Like this negative vibe. You know what I'm saying? It just, it's just that thing, even our OGs, a lot of, our OGs to our current generation, what have you. So that's the thing that for me, I want to, inform the new generation. It's like, yeah, you will win big championship. And if that's your goal, that's dope. Right. But know that there's going to be times, it's going to be the next wave coming in, right? 5-10 years from now, you're not going to be on top forever, and that's something that you got to understand. You one day you're going to just, life hits you, right? It's, once you grow older, you got bills to pay, you got this and that, and you got, when you're young, it's like all you do is break. And I can enter that, I can fly there. There's not a lot of responsibility. And their goal is to win big championship, which is, I'll vouch for all that. You know what I'm saying? But they need to understand that's not the only lane. You know what I mean? Because they can build themselves as artists. Like I had a conversation with Gravity. Build contents for yourself. And that's what I love about you is you always have content. You create your own content. You don't need another platform to create your content. If they do, then that's great. And you collaborate with them, right? You do a partnership, what have you. But you on the regular, just create your own content and push out to your supporters, to your fans, what have you, right? And that's adding value to whatever you're doing, whatever your lane you're focusing on, right? And so that's the thing that I feel like a lot of B-boys and B-girls of the new generation, they need to learn how to create their own content and not just wait for everybody else to create it for them, right? They should have a camera or a cameraman. If you're not into, then hire somebody. What have you? Just build your brand. You know what I mean? And that's what, honestly, Rocksteady Crew don't win every jam. Zulu Kings, we don't win every jam. You know what I mean? But the brand is high value. You know what I mean? Like, because we stay consistent of adding value. We keep creating our own content of what, your crew is about. I seen Rocksteady Crew, that video you put out, that's dope, bro. Like your own crew create those type of videos. My crew, we always, create our own videos. So we need more of that. We need more crews to create their own, whether it be short documentary, just showcase the culture aspect, because a lot of cats are saying, there's a lot of footage of competition. It's like, well, you can do that. You can be the solution to what you just said. Like, okay, then create your own how you see fit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I feel like you're a perfect example of that. Is you created high value into your artistic side. You don't win the Red Bull BC1. But YNot, people know who YNot is when he stepped inside, the event or what have you, inside the circle, what have you, you know what I mean? And so that's a key thing that, having you on here, because you create your own content, you art, you do your own stuff, music. So let's talk about music, right?
Okay.
You create your own beats. So tell people about your, that journey.
That's something that's always been a part of my life. I just never really thought. I've had a lot of weird experiences with music, a lot of ups and downs with music, because it's something that I hold really dear to my heart, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dance is like my expression of the feeling that I get when I hear music. But making it also has a really deep meaning for me, and there's something about it that's like, for a while I avoided it because it was consuming me, Honestly, man, I went through a phase when I wasn't dancing when I moved to Philly. You could find me in the record store every single day.
Right.
And I was listening to music of all types. I was sampling. I was making beats, but I wouldn't share any of this with the world because I also realized that this is something I wanted to keep for myself for a minute. You know, it was a personal thing. Even now, I'm starting to like just get music out to people. Like for a minute there, I was like not really messing with that concept because I didn't want it to become what dance has become for me, which is almost a job. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's not. It doesn't have the same purpose as it did before. And it's become something that I have to produce.
Right.
You know, unless I just hit the fucking break and just say, look, I'm done. I don't want y'all to hit me up no more for shit. I'm not coming to no jams or whatever, you know? But I realize that there's a bigger purpose in that, so I show up. Even when I'm not feeling good, I still dance. Whatever the case is, I know that this is, the meaning of it is different now, right, at this point.
Right.
And I've accepted it, right? So it took me a while. I've accepted it now. But music, yeah, it took me a while to be mature enough to understand that, you know, music now is at a point where I can get comfortable with sharing it, and I do believe that it's going to be my kind of like thing that's going to balance me out as I'm getting older. So the more I create it, the more I share it with people, I'm realizing that I probably should have done it before, but it wasn't time to do it. Obviously, I would have done it already. And now that's what it is. You know, I've played instruments ever since I was 9 years old. I was playing the tenor saxophone. I played the clarinet. I played percussion. So I do have some music theory. I play piano. So when I got into hip hop, I was like, already I had the idea of like sampling myself. So I would like play an instrument and then I would sample the instrument that I played and then make a beat from that. Because I did feel like sampling was stealing. You know what I'm saying? And it is, in a way. You know?
Right.
There's something interesting about hip-hop where it's sort of like, you know, this idea sounds good with this idea, so you're going to collage them together, and you're going to curate this sound that now has become yours because you saw the relationship between them, right?
Right.
But then there's laws now for the people who made the music that you're taking from, so you get into some trouble, et cetera, et cetera. But there's still an art in that. And today you can share that platform without worrying about getting hit with a crazy lawsuit if you're not really trying to sell this. You can just put it out for people to enjoy. I like that concept. I'll do more of that, you know. And I'm trying to push the genre, at least on a university level, to get people to think about non-sample-based hip-hop. What does that sound like? And how can you create that? If you already know how to do the original way of hip-hop, how can you create your own that's all 100% yours? And still make it sound like that. Still make it sound like the golden age that we all love, that boom bap shit with the smooth jazz sample or some vocal that we cut, like stuff like that. So I'm trying to see if I can start building these ideas. Not saying that nobody does it yet. There's plenty of people that do it, but like just be another addition to that. You know what I'm saying?
Within the university circuit, right?
Within university, because there's a lot of kids that, you know, go to school for music. And there's also a lot of kids that do great music that don't go to school. So the reason why I choose to work with universities is because I also want to be the bridge from the community that happens outside to the community that happens inside.
Word.
Because I believe that they shouldn't be separate. You know what I'm saying? Because I personally have gotten both those experiences. So I understand why a university is important. I understand the level of artistry that comes from a street level. That's
so dope, bro.
You know, they're equal to me. They're not separate. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
So
hey, bridging the gap. I say bridging the gap, you know?
For sure, yeah, exactly.
Real, build bridges, man.
Is what I'm trying to do in that way, you know?
And university always have a budget, right? And you can always use that budget for some type of, you know,
best believe
seminar, what have you. Bring the streets inside this university. The university will mingle with the streets, and everybody just learn from one another, man. And that's amazing right there, bro. Yo,
everybody can benefit. You know, there's a lot of kids that I think deserve to go to school that don't have the means, and I think through their art they'll be able to do that.
Word.
But I'm fighting a pretty large fight because you have, a lot of universities are getting budget cuts when it comes to art.
Right.
So being able to fund a kid to go to school is much harder than it ever was, but it's possible. And I think we also just have to raise the bar in terms of what kind of art is coming out of the university as well. So I'm there to help that, and I'm pretty sure we're going to be successful in the next coming years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's great, bro. Because, kids from the streets, it might be great at art, music, what have you, and they're not confident enough, right? Because society view them as, oh, you some street kids, you have no talent. You and I know, like, yo, we came from that, like there's always some type of bullshit, coming our way, like, oh, you ain't gonna be nobody or this and that, and just fighting that every day, So that's a great thing that you're doing, because it's gonna give that confidence in their life and that inspiration, and they can take it to the next level. You know what I'm saying? And give them that confidence. Maybe one day they will go to school, able to go inside university, what have you. So, man, keep up that good fight, bro. I'm with you, man. Stuff like that, keep me posted. I'm down to share, what have you. You know what I mean? And we in this together, man. If you really think about it, that's what hip hop culture is about. And that's why I feel like brothers like you need to be on here to talk about, because we keep talking about breaking, right? And which is great, right? Because I love breaking. But if they understand the culture side of it, how hip hop can be, they really value, what it is. You know what I mean? Because, man, just like that, like you're taking something, focusing on getting the kids from the streets with the art and all that to grab them inside a university, right? and having students from the university who's great at art mingle with the street kids, and right there, like that's hip hop, straight up. I mean, really think about it. Late 70s, it was a bunch of street kids, and then it blew up, mingle with the Manhattan, you know what I'm saying? Like the civilian life, and it became an explosion, right? It just, they took it worldwide, and that's dope, bro. I salute you, man. Keep doing it, bro.
I learned to kind of like take this on from the past, right? So like the great thing about having mentors who are older than me and who have had the experience that they've had, they exposed me to things like the Lower East Side art movement, where there was this clash when the world really started to take hip hop from outside of the streets of New York and bring it, on canvas to Paris, around the world for, shows, theater, etc. This is when hip hop becomes
next level
to some people. You know what I'm saying? And as you see, our influence is still going to this day. I mean, you see it in fashion today. All the people that are now getting those types of higher level positions are babies of what came before us, right? They're actually our generation. They're the age of 30 into 40, who have had the experience of the resurgence of hip hop and the heaviness of hip hop in the 90s, So it's like a resurgence of b-boying, I think the music was already there, but they learned a lot from that experience in the music industry, because now they're starting to own their own, rights to their music. Like, we're smartening up, basically, right?
Right.
We can't be taken advantage of anymore. And all this, again, bleeds back into the reason why I want to be in universities, because university needs to understand that this generation that's coming forward, we're educated, we're really, really fucking good at what we do.
Right.
What we do can stand next to any other art movement that's ever happened through history. like this is some serious shit, and it's one of the biggest art movements that's ever happened. So in America, we need to understand that this is our also, you know, baby that we've produced. You know, hip hop is American. You know, it's taken from many things, but it happened in a specific place with specific people. And it's American history. And if we're not teaching it properly in the university in our own home, I don't know what we're doing. So that's also a big part of it, making sure that they have the information and they have it properly and correct. I don't want it to turn out like how hip-hop has in dance studios around the world, you know, where it's so far away from its original practice that I don't know what it is anymore.
Yeah, that's another war. You know what I mean? Like the dance studio. Yeah. Let's tackle the university, and then, you know, we can tackle the dance studios. You know, maybe our nation breaks time. Yeah, it's just one war at a time. You know, and I think it's a perfect place for you because you're very educated in the historical aspect as well. You know, you got linked to the first generation, second, third, you know, what have you. Same OG, how I came up, you know, and big ups to all the OGs at the end of the day, because they're the one who basically created this whole movement, man. You know what I mean? Like as much as I know, you know, I gripe, you know, with certain ones though, not all of them, right? Certain ones that have that, you know, negative, you know, approach to certain things nowadays because they expect everything to be just like the 70s or the 80s. You know what I mean? They can't adapt to the changes, what's going on. But even at then, sometimes to sit back, I just got to be thankful, right? Because what they did is something that I'm representing their legacy as well. You know what I'm saying? Just like us wearing our hat like this, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you and I on Instagram live right now, rocking our hat and the way we speak to each other. You know, the hair movements, like, you know what I'm saying? Like that came from, you know, them, the streets, you know.
It's hereditary for us.
Yeah, it's that lineage, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, like, big ups to all of them, you know, for what they did, right? To basically educate us, right? Culturally, not just breaking, but culturally.
Yeah.
Wiggles was one of the main reasons why, you know, I took on understanding my artistic value and understanding like how MZK got so big is me learning from Wiggles, right? Like, hey, you got to add value to your brand. Like, this is you. Don't, you know, create your own content. You know, whatever I'm saying is something that I learned from Wiggs, and I want to pass it down to nature. I'm just a messenger here. You know what I mean? Like, for me, I'm just a messenger of what my OGs is came up in. And yo, look at Wiggs. He's still consistent. I mean, how many competition you won lately? None. Right? Because his value is so high as an artist. It's like, yo, you gotta have him. You know, his resume speaks for itself, you know? Yeah. And so that's a key thing that, and I want to, you know, remind new generation is that's the key of that longevity is being consistent. You know what I mean? And you got to reevaluate yourself, self-assess. Like, you got to grow too as a person. You know what I'm saying? Like, for sure. If the way you're doing things, you know, people might know you, but if you're not moving, then there's something you got to reevaluate. Okay, my brand isn't moving right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, my name isn't really moving. What's going on here? You know, instead of blaming the next man, you got to like self-assess yourself.
I think that's one of the biggest missing pieces in well, for one thing, the whole of hip hop, but definitely in the b-boy culture. You know, for example, like for a lot of us growing up, and depending on where you were, you know, you were influenced by, you know, for one, the Zulu Nation, which then, of course, had a lot of great ideals attached to it. It wasn't just about the artistry. And if you look also into the 5% Nation, you'll know that that's also a very strong self-awareness state of mind. It's all placed in a way that for you to look out for yourself and how yourself is functioning with all these other things around you. Self-awareness is huge when it comes to, you know, the ideals that come behind the lessons. And for me, it played a big role in how I understood how to function within hip hop and then function within the world. What's funny about it is that, you know, I was born Catholic. After getting street knowledge, which is something that's completely an offshoot of the Islamic religion, which is also not necessarily white included. Mm-hmm. And then I started traveling the world and meeting other cultures, other religions, other people. The same thing then happened to when I was like trying to become this man or whatever, where I started to sample from the things around me. Mm. So the 5% is something I've studied, Catholicism, you know, Bible, Quran, etc., etc. I was really into trying to understand why these things were in place to begin with, why it only spoke to certain people and didn't to others, you know, all these types of things. But what I realized is that hip-hop had that as a backbone at one point, and you don't hear about it as much anymore. You do hear certain artists talk about God, right? So there is some sort of Christian movement, I think, in hip-hop for sure. But from the roots on, there was a part that was missing, you know, and I do believe that for its place in time, the 5% was a huge reason why there was any type of order. And then also just, you know, a strong conscious approach to the things that you were doing. Mm-hmm. Without that, man, we're left out here with no morals. Mm-hmm. And the problem is like what we were talking about earlier, when you start to kind of come into yourself as an adult, responsibilities are taking over. You want to hope that your decisions from your past are not so big that, you know, you find yourself in a heap of shit when you wake up to the world and say, oh, I've hurt so many people or have done so many things that now I got to try to reverse this process in life. And I'm 40 years old.
Right.
Like, the fuck, you know, so that's a harsh reality for a lot of people. And I saw a lot of that at a young age. So luckily I started to come out of that in my kind of like early mid-20s. I wasn't like 100% the perfect guy, but I was definitely like starting to like, okay, if I do that, this is gonna fuck me up later. Let me figure these things out.
Right.
And it got better. It got better as I was going along. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think if that's not a part of, if that type of information is not getting added to the same cool shit that we're learning, that we become a little bit lost in the sauce. We're almost like Hollywood stars where we're just all...
Yeah, and La La Land.
Yeah, we're just not, we're like not...
Yeah.
There's no substance. It's not attached to anything. It's a bunch of fluff and beautiful looking shit that doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So I try to explain these types of things also when I'm talking. Not only that, if I'm sharing, you know, my story or whatever, I try to, you know, speak about it to at least spark people's interest, because I think if they don't have that as a backbone already, that they should think about it, you know? Yeah. But it adds a lot of value to your artistic understanding too. Like there's really deep meanings with a lot of things that I don't think a lot of people understand. Hip hop has had a very deep connection to, you know, cultures, symbols, things that go a lot deeper than just a surface looking part of the art. There was meaning, there was, you know, things that can go further than what they are, than what you see, you know.
It has true value.
That's
what it is. It comes down to it has true value in society. You know what I'm saying? Not just within the culture, but in society. It has true value within society. I mean, who would have thought a movement from the street of the Bronx have, you know, here we are today, me and you. I mean, I came from Vietnam, you know what I'm saying? Immigrate to US, you're from Jersey, you in Rocksteady, Kalamazoo, and then we building right now with many people over, you know, world. And once I share this, there's gonna be more people watch. Like that to me is crazy. Like
It's
from the street, like from the street, you know, from the very bottom of the bottom. You know what I'm saying? Not already molded already or some type of push. No, this came from the very bottom, man. The struggle. You know what I'm saying? There's historical movements that came before hip hop that kind of drove it towards it, right? And it became this whole movement that we call hip hop or culture. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of deep stuff, you know, and deep information that I would love for the new generation to dig deep, man, to the culture aspect, you know, not just the dance itself, but the cultural side. Really understand, and just even the fact that you even said earlier about how organically we're already branding ourselves within the culture. You know what I'm saying? And that's something, if you understand that, you're like, whoa, okay. You value yourself more as an entity or as a person, you know, or as a b-boy, you know what I'm saying? Instead of just going to competition, hoping to win and just train all the time and just hoping to win and come home with nothing.
Yeah.
You gotta value yourself and okay, you know, how can I, you know, direct myself towards an artistic route as well, you know, and build that value up. You know what I mean? So, and that's what hip hop did, honestly, to myself and brothers like you and many other, like Wiggles, Legs, you name it. All that has that's more cultural side of things. We approach it many lanes. You know what I'm saying? We just don't go one lane. We can approach the competition lane, but we can always approach the artistic lane as well. You know, like Disney, he's doing that. The plan. You know, I mean, I'm loving that because it add value to the artists, right? Like fans are going to go watch New York and a Chai from Taiwan. They're spending money to watch these artists battle one battle that can be half an hour, and that's it. And then the artists, you know, they get the benefit of it, right?
Yeah.
New York's gonna get paid, Chai gonna get paid, and everybody go home happy. You know what I mean? And that's many lanes that we need to do, and I support Vizzy because that's beautiful, man. I'm sure he talked to you about it, right?
Yeah, I just saw him recently when we were out in China, and
okay.
And he had a really dope moment too. There was some beef that he settled with another b-boy. You know.
Yeah, I saw that. you was there like, yo, where he at?
Yeah, because it was funny. Like I didn't know the backstory, and then he grabbed me, and he's like, "Yo, there's this dude. He's talking shit online." That's all I hear. So I'm like, "All right, where's this motherfucker at?" So we go, but it was like the way that it ended was really, really beautiful, man. Because this guy, well, it was really more like a call for help or a call to say, "Yo, I'm dope too," you know, and I see what you're doing, and I actually respect you, but I'm gonna bait you by talking shit, and then we're gonna battle, you know. And I thought it was great, man. I thought it was great, and I respect, you know, both of them to fully commit and go through it, you know, because that's the most honest thing we could do as b-boys is battle, you know. So no matter what happens in our life or whatever, or our careers as b-boys, you know, whether we're known, not known, whatever, when you get in that situation, when you get called out, there's your moment. That's your moment of honesty, and there's no way in or out of that. And it's the most truthful thing that's going to happen because we're all going to see right then and there what you're about, basically. You know what I mean? So respect to both of them, man. It was a really dope thing to witness, you know. So
Yeah,
that was dope.
I saw the footage, and even how when they ended, how he was like, "Yo, sorry, Dizzy, for for dissing you online." You know what I'm saying? And that's how it came to be. Is because this brother, he was going through some life situation, and he just vented online, and then Dizzy, as a b-boy, he's like, "You know what? You're gonna talk stuff online. I'm gonna see you." And then they got it in, and afterward, he explained why, and they squashed it right there and then. It was a beautiful moment when I see, because that's, like you say, is very honest, right? We need more of that, man. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
True honesty. You know what I'm saying? Just yo, this chat gonna end. I'm gonna read.